Hey YouTube, Brandon here. Today I'm going to teach you how to use Chroma key inside of Capcut on Mac or PC to obtain a floating product photography shot. Now I do have some tools that are enhancing my experience today. I will be recording this floating footage on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I will also be using a spinner for a cool effect, and I will show you how to do this. And make sure to stick around to the end where I show you how to use keyframes to enhance the drama of your floating photography shot. The goal of today's video is to show you exactly how to do that. So for today's shoot, I have a couple of tools to assist with the drama of the shot, which is going to be pretty dope, if I may say so myself. Anyway, first things first is I got this display turntable, right? And what that does is it just allows the product to spin, which is gonna, you'll see why as we get further into it, but you just, simply turn it on and it spins. You can control the rotation of the spin as far as the speed and the direction. So this thing I got on Amazon for like 15 bucks, not a big deal, not a huge investment. And then for my green screen, I just bought this poster board from Wally Worlds in green, right? So I'm just going to get a thumbtack and just stick that on the wall in the area that I'm going to shoot, like so. I'm going to get my lights and spin them to shine onto the product. I'm then going to get my spinning turntable, put it in front of the green screen onto the next step. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Osmo Pocket 3 and I'm going to go ahead and put it close to the product spinner, and I'm just going to, again, just raise it down until I'm looking directly straight onto the spinner so that there's no overlap from the back to the front. So I'll just try to get that as close as possible. And the first product on the list is going to be the Sony ZV-1F, which was my first Sony camera. So I still use this and I do like it because it's small and fun. So I'll just put that bad boy on there. I'll kind of just make sure that it is centered as best as I can get it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and turn this guy on, and I'll just let that rotate a couple of times. And then I'm going to add a couple of items that are, I don't know, a little more fun. So let's put this guy on there. Again, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're looking straight on, that the green is covering the entire background behind the object that you want to isolate from the background. And you want to make sure that the entire object is in the frame. I also want to show you what tripod I'm using. This is the carbon fiber adjustable monopod stand by Insta360. It's perfect for this camera because this camera is lightweight, but the reason that I like this tripod for this shot is because you can make micro adjustments and it'll stay put. So I got my footage imported into CapCut. Now let's go ahead and jump in there. So I already took the liberty of getting the clip that I wanted, which is just me in front of the camera, putting my hand out for this camera to float in my hand. So now the next step is I'm going to go ahead and select this clip, and I'm going to drag out just the parts that I want. So I can use all right, so when I'm highlighted on my clip, I can use keyboard shortcuts. So I can use J to go backwards. I can use L to go forward. If I press it again, it's going to go twice as fast. And then I can use K to stop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use J and then I'm going to hit K right when the camera is facing us. I'm going to hit I to mark the endpoint, and then I'm going to hit L to have my cursor on this little playhead go ahead and play, and I just want to make sure that I'm getting enough footage. So yeah, that looks like it's about enough right there. So I hit K, I'll hit the O button for out, and then I'll go ahead and hit the plus button, right? So now that's going to drop this this recording right here on my on my main player window. So now once this happens with the track selected, right, I'm going to select it. I'm going to come up here to this little window up here and I'm going to hit mask. Now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the rectangle button right here, and that's going to give us a button. So the reason that we want to do that is because we want to cut out the spinner, right? Because the spinner is not green. Oh, by the way, the reason that we use green is because green is a very uncommon color. It's usually not in any objects. So when we delete the green screen, it's only going to delete the green. It's not going to delete the spinner. It's not going to delete this desk. So what I'm doing now is I want to basically reduce this mask so that it gets rid of the spinner, right? This is why we needed to look at the spinner straight on. So I'm just going to kind of fine tune adjust it until I think that spinner is gone. All right, maybe we can bring all this in just a little bit. All right. So now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to this remove background or remove BG button right next to the mask. By the way, I'm in video right now. So video, mask, cut out everything that's not green or the object, remove background, right? So now in remove background, I'm going to scroll down to this button called Chroma key. So I'm going to select that Chroma key and I'm going to push this little button right here that is the color picker, right? So we'll hit that. And then I'm just going to hover over the part of the screen, right, that is green. And I'm going to hit that. So as you see, it shows a black background and it shows that it got rid of all of that green, but you can still see part of the spinner right at the bottom. So before I go any further, I think what I'm going to do is go down here. I usually always do this, by the way. I got to clean up that edge a little bit. And as you can see, it kind of smooths out the edge, makes it a little bit more realistic of a cut. So now I think I can feather this edge just a bit, just to give it a little more realistic vibe. And then you can see the black, right, on this black screen that there's actually some of the spinners still left because I wasn't straight on. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to mask, and I'm going to get this mask and push it up just a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to go back to remove background. And then as I move my mouse over this main track, you can see that that does a pretty good job of removing the spinner and removing the background. So we're done there. I'll go ahead and click out of there. Now from here, we need this floating camera to be on top of our main track, which is me with my hand out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that clip and drag it all the way to the left and just drop it under there. So you kind of have to play around with it. It doesn't always snap perfectly the way you want it to. So now you can see that this camera is now floating over me and the background is perfectly removed. This is a much better method than letting Capcut decide what you do and don't want to be cut out of your floating image. But one thing I do notice is that the spinner was going kind of slow. So right off the bat, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to select this track. I'm going to go up to speed and I'm going to double that. And we'll just see how that looks. Still a little slow. I think it needs to be faster just because I only hold my hand out for a short amount of time. So I'll go into speed. I'll give it times 0.5. So that seems like it's a better rotating speed. Okay, I like that. So now what we got to do is we got to position this and cut it so that it comes in at the right time, out at the right time, and it should be good to go. So before I do that, I'm just going to remove the audio from both tracks. I don't need any audio for the purpose of this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my playhead. I'm going to click with my pointer and I'm going to drag right into the point where I'm starting to open my hand. And I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to drag it over and match the playhead right there. And then I'm going to scroll over right to the point where I start closing my hand. Now you're going to have to adjust this a little bit again later on, but you'll see why. So right when I close my hand, I'm going to go ahead and drag the end to match that. So now it comes in at the right time, out at the right time, but that's still not what we want. So with this selected, what I need to do, there we go. So sometimes you have to kind of click around, but basically I'm going to click on this and you'll see, I'm going to click on the camera and you'll see that there's these little dots around the edges. So this is how I can resize it, right? So I'm going to resize it until it's mostly, about the size it's supposed to be, give or take, maybe a little bit bigger for dramatic effect. So now when I do this, it's about the size it needs to be in proportion to my hand. And I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know, I guess center over my hand a little bit better. So yeah, maybe we got to maybe squeeze it down just a bit, move it up just a bit and to the right a bit. Yeah, that seems about right. Okay, so now uh, some fun things to do, right? I'm all about the fun. I have fun doing this. I hope you do too. So anyway, with this track selected, we want to animate its ins and its outs. So let's come up here with the track selected of the floating camera. We're going to come up here to animation, and we're going to go ahead and go to in, and we're just going to find one that looks really cool. So I think that this pulse is a good one for this application, right? And so it kind of shows you a little preview, and then it added it to the track automatically. You can see this little arrow at the bottom of the track, which is a duration of the in animation. And I think that's a little slow because I kind of want it to pop, when as soon as I open my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this little slider, and I'm going to drop that down to 0.3 seconds. Is usually feels about right. So we can go ahead and hit the play button. Yep, that looks pretty cool. Now let's do the same thing for the out. So let's go back to animation. Up here at the top, I'm going to hit out. And I think that for out, I'd like, let me see. I think this one looks cool for out. So again, it kind of like collapses on itself. It's kind of a cool effect, but that's still a little long. I want it to be kind of a more of an instant, disappear. So let's go ahead and on the slider, you can see you have your in and your out. I'm going to go ahead and drop that down to 0.3 seconds as well. And so now from here, I'm just going to play with the timing. So we'll just hit the play button, and I think I'm going to take this and actually bring it in just a touch. I feel like it comes in a little too early. Okay, yep, I like that. On the way out, I think I'm going to bring that in just a touch too. So I feel like it disappears a little too late. So I want it to kind of start collapsing, right as I close my hand. All right, let's see how that looks. Oh, see, you got to play with this until you get it just right. Okay, that seems about right. So it comes right in as soon as I open, and then it starts to disappear right as I start closing my hand. Okay, that is what I was after. So now to take it to the next level, we're going to go ahead and add some sound effects. So I'm going to go ahead and move my playhead to the beginning right when this animation is in its action. So like right as it's starting to appear out of thin air, about right there. I'm going to go ahead and go to audio, and in sound effects, you can use a search bar and you can search for whatever sound effect that you like. But I already found a couple that I like. And one thing that's very helpful is you can hit a little star button next to your effects and your transitions, or your sound effects that you always like, so that you always have them here. So now I can just go to the one that I know I like, which is this laser beam. So I hit that, no, actually it's camera flash, right? So let's go ahead and hit the plus button. Down here, it looks like it's peaking. So I'm going to bring that down a touch, and then I'm going to click and drag and move this so that the peak of the flash is right at the peak of the action. And then I'm going to trim, the rest of the sound effect that doesn't really need to be there. And so I'm just going to play that back and make sure that it sounds good. Yep, that was pretty cool. So now on the out, again, I'm gonna put my playhead right where the action, right? So right here when it's starting to fold out. So I'm gonna go to this laser beam sound effect, which I thought was pretty dope. Let's hit that. Again, it's peaking, so I'm gonna bring that down just a touch, and then I'm gonna click and drag this so it's basically right, right where the action is. And again, we'll go ahead and play that back. Maybe we'll slide it over just a touch here. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and move my player to the end. I'm going to go ahead and select this, hit Command B, and then I'm going to delete the rest of that. And now we have our magic floating camera effect. One more time. Yep, that was pretty dope. So that's it. From here, you can just hit this export button up here, and you can include those in your videos. Or if I knew this was just the intro to my video or just one part of it, what I would do is once this is all done, all these layers are good to go, I can click and drag with my mouse, grab all those tracks together, right click, and I'm going to go ahead and create compound clip. Now, what that does is it just took everything that I just did and it put it all into one clip, which is incredibly helpful if you have a video with multiple effects as you go through. So that's it for the basic edit. Now, for the next step, I'm going to go ahead and take it a step further with some transitions and some keyframes and some slow-mo and fast-mo and morphing, as I call it. So stick around. Okay, bonus time. So following the same steps as before, I have my main track down below. I have three different items that I want to float in space, which include the SRT, the Lamborghini, and then of course the Sony ZV-1F. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I use keyframes to basically manipulate the position of these objects right here. So first thing I'm going to do is right as soon as, right, just like before, my hand opens, I'm going to go ahead and drag this till it starts. I'm going to leave this at a slower speed. You'll see why in a second. So with this appearing in space, right where it starts, I'm going to go ahead and maybe make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to position it right there. And under video, up here, there are keyframes. So I'm going to go ahead and hit a keyframe, and then I'm going to move over just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and hit another keyframe, and I'm going to drop this so that's following my hand. And I'm just going to continue this. All right, I'm going to move that over again, hit a keyframe, and I'm just going to repeat this. So now, right when my hand is fake hitting the floating Lamborghini. So right, right, right there. So with this track selected, I'm going to go ahead and hit Command B, and I'm going to delete. All right, so you can see that the car is following my hand movement. Right there is where I want this guy to end. So right where this one ends, I want this guy to begin. And so you'll notice how the last frame of the Lamborghini, you can see the taillights. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rotate this until I see the taillights in kind of the same position on this guy. Hit Command. We'll go ahead and hit Command B. Oh, I kind of screwed it up. Okay. So then we'll go ahead and drag this over. So right here, I think we need to go just a touch more. Let's actually zoom in. Rotate that just ever so slightly. Okay, right there. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and try to drag it and drop it exactly where the Lamborghini was. Boom. So you'll notice that this Lamborghini is spinning at 2x and the SRT is spinning at 5x. So I wanted that to be like that on purpose so that when I do this, it's like it's spinning faster. Right, so I think I'm going to actually take that SRT and increase its speed a little bit. Let's see how that looks. Oh yeah. So I did have some hand movement here. So boom, I hit it. And then right when I boom, hit it again, I'm going to go ahead and get this clip and drag it so that it ends in the same position. Right, so here it's floating, and then I spin it, it turns into an SRT, and it's moving even quicker. And then I hit it again, and this is where the camera comes in. I had it all the way over here. All right, so now the camera, I want it to be going even faster. So with this selected, let's go ahead and move it up a little bit, kind of so it appears that it just changed into that camera. And I think so the SRT stops right at the front. Okay, I think that's good enough. So let's go ahead and take this guy and adjust the speed so that it's even faster, and even faster rotation. So it's boom, even faster. And then right there, with the track selected, I'm going to hit Command B. Right when I do this motion with my hand. And then here, after that happened, I'm going to go ahead and go back to speed, and I'm going to turn it all the way back down to 1x speed. Let's just see how that looks. Boom. All right. So now I'm going to scroll to where my hands are collapsing, and I'm going to go ahead and trim the rest of this. Right, trim the rest of that so that it's done. So now from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add sound effects, and here is the final product. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you. Bonus time.